So my name is Geoffrey Hesketh, and I'm a postdoctoral fellow at the Lunenfeld-Tannenbaum Research Institute at Mount Sinai Hospital here in Toronto. Parkinson's actually found me rather than the other way around. So I like to call myself a basic science researcher, so I'm very interested in the fundamental mechanisms of how cells work. And I was working on a pathway that was of interest to me, an important cell biological pathway. And at the time, there was no link to Parkinson's disease. But a couple of years into working on that particular subject, an important part of that pathway became associated with Parkinson's disease. And so this provided a new framework in which I could frame my research. And so it was really that the field found me rather than the other way around. There are several mentors. If I had to pick, I'll pick two actually that I'll talk about. One in particular is a Canadian researcher, a late Canadian researcher named Tony Pawson, who was probably one of the most celebrated cell biologists, biochemists that Canada has ever produced. And he made a fundamental discovery several years ago now that was really the start of how we understand how cells communicate with each other and how proteins bind to one another. And I think a fundamental discovery like that can shape multiple fields, I think is very inspiring. He's definitely someone who I look up to in that regard. Another researcher mentor who I look up to is my current supervisor, Anne-Claude Gingras. She imparts a great deal of wisdom on her trainees. All kinds of skills are passed down from her to us, organizational skills, the importance of collaboration in research, and really just the passion for discovery that we really all need to carry on with what we do. So symposia like this are important in general because it brings researchers together who are thinking about the same sorts of problems but might not necessarily speak with each other on a regular basis. And unless you're in the same room together, sometimes these ideas don't fertilize as well as they could. So bringing these people together just helps these ideas really blossom. It's particularly useful for someone like me, who again is somewhat new to the Parkinson's field, to see exactly the wide breadth of research that's being done in Canada in Parkinson's disease research. Things all the way down from the molecular cellular causes of disease, which is what I'm personally interested in, all the way up to cognitive and more functional types of studies that are being done. And so I think it's really inspiring to see the many different avenues that are being looked at. So funding is very tight in science in general in the world. And funding from Parkinson Canada is particularly important for someone like me at my stage of my career because, like I said, funding is tight. Anything you can get is very, very helpful. What it does for me in particular is, again, like I said, I came from an outside field into Parkinson's disease, and what it really does is help focus my attention on a particular area of research, and that is Parkinson's disease. It really frames my work in a particular way, and having money from Parkinson Canada, really does motivate me in a particular direction, and so it's invaluable. For me, basic science is it's absolutely critical. There's so much for us to learn about how biology works, and until we understand how biology works in all of its vast complexity, we're never going to understand disease fully. And basic science is really science that has no particular application in mind when you're doing it. You simply use your enthusiasm, your curiosity to drive the types of questions that you're going to ask. And often things will become clear that you never could have anticipated beforehand, such as myself, where I was working on a pathway that I was interested in because it was a curiosity-driven question. And partway through, we stumbled upon this connection to Parkinson's disease. And so I think that connection probably wouldn't have been made had we not gone down this this basic curiosity-driven path. And so I think basic science is essential, needs to be funded. Well, of course I would say thank you very, very much. And also for the donors to know that we as the scientists acknowledge and appreciate and are constantly thinking about where the money comes from that pays for our research. It's not something that we take for granted. And in particular, Parkinson's disease research and the funding that comes from donors to Parkinson Canada, that's what keeps Parkinson's specific research alive. There are, like I said, very few monetary resources in Canada, and so money coming into Parkinson Canada will keep Parkinson research moving forward, and without it, it wouldn't flourish the way it is today.